Okay, welcome to Fahrenheit Performance Podcast, episode number 48. Today we have Elizabeth Liau here. You are the national champ on the road. You're the TT champ for 2024. I think last year you were the national champ. Year before that, you were probably the under 23 national champ. You're a full-time student right now in nursing, right? And what do people call you? Ebird, not Elizabeth, right?
Yeah, ebird.
Okay, Ebird, why don't you give yourself an intro and let us know why you're called Ebird?
I'm Elizabeth, but people call me ebird because it's my Instagram handle, and it's actually a home nickname from my older brother who couldn't pronounce my name when we were younger. So from Elizabeth, it became ebird. And then
So it was like a home
nickname.
nickname, yeah. And then you foolishly made it your Instagram handle, and then forever now you can read.
Yeah, now I'm just ebird.
So people walking down the street would say, "Hey, Ebird," they wouldn't call you
Yes.
Lizzie or.
Yeah, they recognize me from my Instagram sometimes, so they just know me as ebird. Like, oh my god, you're ebird. And I'm like, oh yes.
Okay. Obviously, you're a pretty good cyclist, right? You're the national champion. How long have you been riding for? Why did you start riding?
I've been riding for the national team since 2018, which was when I was Sec 4.
Yep. Wow. So you were in the national team when you were in high school.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Then previously, I was in the national team for triathlon
Okay.
from maybe 2016 to 2018, maybe the developmental squad.
Yep.
Yeah, so I did triathlon from 2010 to 2017 and then switched over to cycling in 2018 when the head coach, Adrian,
Yep.
sort of scouted me.
Okay.
He was like,
So he was flying on the triathletes and he thought, oh, you're a good cyclist.
oh, come join cycling, you'll be good there.
Did you enjoy cycling most out of the three sports anyway, or?
Yeah, I think I did enjoy cycling the most.
Yeah.
It was something that I put the least amount of time in back then.
Yep.
But I think relatively I was doing quite well, I would say. And so I sort of took the leap of faith and took Adrian's word for it, and I went for the power profile test from the SCF.
Yep.
And
All right.
yeah, I did all right. He was like, okay, your numbers look good. That's cool.
Cool. But you didn't have any back then. You didn't have any road racing experience. It would have all been sort of, I guess, draft legal triathlon, right? But not
did
lots of.
join. I did join the net champs, but I got like trashed.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cyclists were like strong.
The pure cycling.
Yeah, the field cyclists were a lot stronger. So
And you were a lot younger back then.
yeah, I was also younger.
So then, when did you start competitively riding? I guess after Adrian had scouted you, and he threw you into some regional races or local races or something.
So he scouted me in 2018, and then I used 1 year for pure training, sort of, and just raced locally. Then in 2019, the Singapore Cycling Federation gave me the opportunity to join the Asian Cycling Championships, ACC. So I joined in the juniors category for
So how long ago was that?
2019.
2019?
Yeah,
Okay.
2019. Oh, so long ago.
Okay, right. And that was before COVID, right?
Yeah, it's before.
So then, how did you do in your first race? It was like a baptism of fire, or did you like?
It was.
I guess if it's a juniors race, everyone's roughly the same age as you, right?
Yeah. Everyone's about, how old was I? 16, 17, around there.
Okay.
And it was a bit crazy because it was my first international cycling race.
Yep.
And it was at Uzbekistan.
Wow. Sometimes I forget that Asia is actually
Yeah,
all the way out there. You think of Asia as like Japan, Korea. Yeah. Okay.
Uzbekistan.
Yep.
5 degrees Celsius with rain on the ITT.
That's good.
So I don't really have a lot of experience back then.
Yep.
And I was like listening to my senior, if you don't wear gloves, it's more aerodynamic. I was like, okay, Reese. Okay, don't wear gloves. So didn't go very well for me.
There's no use thinking aerodynamic if you can't move your face, right?
And the visor actually fogged out because your body is so warm, the outside is so cold. You try to wipe it, but the fog is inside.
Yeah.
So it was a bit crazy. Then my hands are so numb, I couldn't break. Yeah, not a good decision.
So I guess it didn't go so well.
Yeah, could have definitely been better, but an experience. Yeah, for sure.
But then, so from then on, you just had the buzz, I guess. You just
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
it was something very different.
Mm-hmm.
Like in triathlon, we also got to go overseas and race.
Yeah.
But
Like during, I guess in the high school, you were already in the team, but like growing up, did you do any other sports? And then, were you a runner or did you do, high jump or netball or something or straight cycling?
so since I've been doing triathlon since I was 8, right? So
Okay.
so mostly whatever sports that I did was sort of in line with to help triathlon.
Gotcha.
So I DSA, which is direct school admission to my secondary school
With triathlon?
with running.
Running, okay.
Yeah, because there's no triathlon in school.
Yeah.
So I DSA'd with running, and I ran for my school in the cross country team for 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that translates well into triathlon.
Yeah, really well. Just run and run and run with the school.
Yeah.
So that's like basically covered my run training already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so after your Asian Games, when you weren't a junior anymore, were you just starting to do local races and do Indonesia and Thailand? And what was the progression from your first Asian Cup to?
Actually, it was a bit going downhill because I did the race in 2019, and then I also started track cycling in 2019.
Okay.
But then in 2020, COVID hit,
Yep.
and then basically everything was shut down.
Yep.
So from
Especially
going
track cycling, right?
Yeah,
You
especially track
you don't have no
cycling.
velodrome here.
Yeah. So for track cycling, you have to go overseas. So usually the team will go to Malaysia. There was also a race in Korea, but I had to miss for school commitments.
Okay.
Yeah, exams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then track cycling. Why did you pick up track cycling? It's like quite unusual.
I think it was something that it seemed quite fun.
Yeah.
And actually, for cycling, the results came from track cycling in the 2017 SEA Games.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
so that's what, like when I joined, it was 2018, so directly after the 2017 SEA Games.
Yep.
And it was something very new to me. It's whole different concept of like the wooden velodrome and everything.
Well, even when you like cross the finish line, you can't stop pedaling.
Yeah.
You got to keep going.
The fixed gear bike, no brakes, quite crazy. Yeah.
Do you enjoy the fixed gear bikes?
Now, yes.
Yeah.
Back then, super scary.
Yeah. Well, like when I used to ride on the velodrome, it gets to a point where it's because there's no brakes, everyone is going about the same speed. So there's
We got safer.
Yeah, it feels like it's a little bit safer unless someone crosses over your wheel. That's basically the unsafe point. But no one's going to slam on their brakes because they can't, right? And no one's going to take off too fast because they can't.
Right.
As long as everyone's going roughly the same speed, it feels quite safe actually.
Yeah. So relative to road cycling,
Yeah.
road cycling is like full of surprises, right? But
Yeah.
track cycling is sort of something that you can estimate.
Yeah,
Something
and
like-
then the track is smooth, right? So you're not going to hit a bump, you're not going to hit pothole, you're not going to hit a
cone.
curb. Yeah, that's right. So then, what's your progression from 2019? Let's say 2019, you're 50%, right? And now you're 80%. How did you get from there up to where you are today?
So it's a lot of training. So during COVID, no races, only indoor riding.
Yep.
I very dislike indoor riding. Really? Yeah. But it's the only solution that we had. So I was also having A levels in that year,
Oh,
which was, I guess, a blessing in disguise. So I can be in my online class while riding on the bike. Life.
I think quite about online classes and Zoom. Yeah, everything was Zoom back then, right?
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of training that has to be done, and at a certain, if you want to go to a certain level, it's a lot of individual training. It's not so much of group rides because you don't really get the quality of the ride.
Oh, okay. So if you're on the intervals and stuff, you do it on the trainer, and then if you want to go group run, the tactics or sort of
I think,
surging and stuff, you do it outdoors.
yeah, actually intervals I also do it outdoors because I don't really like indoor, right? So I try to do everything outdoors. So for intervals, I'll go to like Seletar to do the rides. Then I think if I remember correctly, during that period of time before COVID, I would join those big group rides.
Yeah, before the bunch of tens.
Yeah, before the bunch of 10, it'll be like I'll join a group ride and then there'll be a huge bunch of guys and I'll get dropped like every week. But every week you just see like maybe today you get dropped here, tomorrow you get dropped a bit further. Like next week it's like better and better.
And as long as you don't take it personally, right? Because some people take it personally and they get dropped, and they'll never show up because they feel they're going to get dropped.
Right, it's like an ego thing.
Yeah, same thing. But if the people that ride away aren't thinking of the people that drop; they're just thinking of the road ahead, right?
Yeah.
So if you get dropped, you get dropped, and then next week you come back and try again, right? And I think that and those sort of rides actually help a lot for sort of surging and tactics and breakaways and
I
stuff.
find that those rides are very good. It's like mimicking road race.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Because like on a group ride where you have two pace lines and they rotate in an even direction.
this-
I've never had it in here. It's never happens in a race. There's no friends in a race.
unless you break away, but otherwise, no. You just have to squeeze your way through the pack, which is what you have to do here as well.
Yeah.
And then try to like avoid things and follow the surges, make the moves.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's a really good training to join all these group rides. But now,
I feel like it's killed the vibe a little bit in Singapore, the tens, the pet groups of 10. So then what's your biggest race so far that you've done, or biggest achievement so far you feel like in racing?
I think that the biggest achievement would be the 2022 ACC track points race where I came in fourth.
ACC's Asian
Yeah, Asian Cycling
Championships. Oh, came in fourth. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
And how big was the field?
I don't remember.
Okay, but that's like all of
No, it's
anyone in Asia can go to that, right?
Yeah.
Any Asian country.
so like Japan, China, all that. If they wanted to, they could go.
It's like one step from the podium.
But it was a big step. It was quite far.
Oh, it was. Okay, that's and then and that was in 2022, right? And then how about races? Are you a bit of more of a stage racer or a sort of one day puncher?
I'm fine with both.
Yeah,
I don't really have a lot of experience with stage racing.
like long back to back
Yeah,
routing, right?
but I did enjoy the few stage races that I got to compete at, which was mostly in Thailand. So it's like the Masters Tour of Chiang Mai and Tour of Thailand. So those were actually quite eye-opening for me.
Yeah,
It was interesting because like every day is a different route and they're quite long. So it tests your endurance as well.
and then on the second day you test your endurance because you're dead legs from the first day, right?
Or like third day. Yeah.
But is the women's field in those races big enough to have your own field?
Oh yeah. Those like Thailand, they have a big cycling community.
Yeah.
So their female groups are quite big as well. And then for example, the Masters of Chiang Mai that time in 2022, they had the Thai national team join as well. So it was like, oh, the level was there.
Yeah, so that's good. I think it's great when you have a strong hitting field.
It's good, it's really good, yeah. And then the 12th Thailand had, because that year the Asian Cycling Championship was also at Thailand. So countries like Korea sent their riders in. It was almost like a mini Asian champ.
So you get to ride the same roads or something, right?
It was, yeah, I think it was more or less similar. So what the other teams wanted to do was recce the route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so the competition is high. How does that feel having all the sort of big names? Or
It was like SEA Games here, and also ACC was at Thailand. So basically all the big names were there. And I think it was very, how do I say it? It's very pressurizing for me.
it is.
Yeah. It's like, oh, how well you do here sort of mimics how well you're going to do in the other races, right?
And did you do okay in those races?
I personally think that it was quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good experience, and also it sort of gunned up for what was to come.
Yeah.
And also we got to practice sort of like the teamwork within the team itself.
So were you there as a team member of the Singapore team, or were you there as just a...
I was there as
member.
the Singapore national team rider.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a whole bunch of the Singapore national team, and then you were working together in that race as Singaporean team. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah.
So you,
How often was that one thing you come around?
how often?
Yeah.
Not so
Because that's
often.
almost like all the stars aligned at the same time, right? Because the ACC and the SEA Games and the...
Yeah. Usually the quality of the racing is not as high. So it's very rare for it to be so good if it's not a major race. So I think there's not a lot of opportunity for this to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then when you come back to Singapore, then you see like one race every 4 months or something.
Besides the Wheel to Gym races this year, I think there's only nationals or Setra 100.
Sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then in those races you were riding a bunch of dudes as well, right? How does that dynamic change? Like, how do you feel about that? Like,
It's very different.
Yeah.
So racing pure female group and a mix of male and female. The whole race tactic is like thrown out of the window for those mixed groups because the guys are just so strong. Not to be sexist or anything, but it's just physiologically.
it's bigger, right?
Yeah, it's just harder to go as hard as you want.
Yep.
For example, if I were to make an attack, it's gonna get shut down so easily.
Oh yeah, if you make an attack and a dude bridges over, he can pull another woman behind him, and she may not have necessarily been able to get to you, right?
Yeah.
And I heard in gravel racing in America, it's a big problem where even like, let's just say a boyfriend or a husband or something would be in the race, they'll pace them to a position in the race, and then
I think the draft affects a lot, is it?
yeah, and it affects the dynamic of the race, and it affects the results as well.
Definitely.
And this year there's a big crash in the women's field, right?
Lots of crashes.
in the nationals, because it was not necessarily like, if it was a women's only, it might not have happened because a bunch of dudes.
The route this year was quite narrow and they put like a lot of cones in between.
Okay.
So I think there were a few instances where the guy in front of me almost crashed. So he would like swerve and swerve and swerve because the cones are intermittent, right?
Oh,
So it was like quite scary for guys.
it's almost like you want to be in a breakaway to get away from all the chaos.
Yeah, but there wasn't any breakaway. Yeah, you just couldn't break away in that kind of route and with the sort of negative racing.
Yeah, it wasn't the elite men, right? It was like
Nah.
35 or masters or something.
I think it was masters with juniors.
Okay, so then they're also
It's like
not the same level.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a level of expertise or the level of bike handling and stuff as well, right? So
yeah.
it's a bit tougher.
So I think the juniors tend to be more jumpy.
Yeah, of course, because they've literally got less experience.
Yeah, less experience and also like they're just itching to go.
Yeah,
But the masters also don't want to let them go.
of course.
And the ladies are just stuck.
Yeah. How do you think that you can improve that? Like, how do you think, like, women's cycling has always been a problem, not a problem, but the numbers of women's cycling and women racing, like racing in races, is always much lower than men, right?
Yeah.
What do you have any ideas of how to get more women involved in races in the races?
I think actually there's like a program currently by SCF,
Yep.
the Cycling Federation, which is like a esports program.
Uh-huh.
So they're doing sort of, it's just purely indoor,
Yeah.
but they have quite a relatively higher number of women compared to, for example, the road races.
So you think that the road races, the women aren't doing them because they don't want to crash and they don't want
I
the
think
drama
that's
of
like-
having a broken collarbone, for example, you know?
Or maybe they're like still new at this point.
Yeah.
And also, maybe, actually, yeah, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a puzzle that all over the world is the women race.
Yeah,
number
it's
of
like a
women
lot
is
lesser than
almost-
guys.
Maybe it's just the. I don't know.
I think maybe girls have like different priorities.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't want to say that the men are more competitive, because I don't think that women are less competitive. There's something that stops them from racing, or I guess the number of women in general that ride is less than men anyway, right?
Yeah.
So I hear that you don't like cones in PTs very much.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of you
Kissing a cone.
kissing a cone, or I couldn't even work out what was going on. If you're off the going over the handlebars of the bike, or your hands are still on the aero bars. Was that at the Nationals last year?
Yeah, it was the Nationals ITT. So I was...
Was it as a typical time trial issue where you weren't looking up the road, you're looking down, and then you just land or something?
Yeah, so I was like in the position, right? Then what was going through my head was my coach, he kept telling me, oh, you have to be more aero, you have to tuck your head.
Take your gloves off.
I take my gloves off. So I was trying to do what was going in my head, right? So tuck my head down, and I was gauging it based on the timer on the Wahoo. So roughly one lap would be this amount of time, right? So I see the timing. Okay, roughly I should be reaching. And I look up, and then like the cone is like coming. I was like, oh no. So from this position, I go to press my brakes, but it's
and inherently problem with the TT bikes because the brakes aren't on the handlebars.
It's obviously too late.
Yeah.
So
and you don't do I hear that you don't do very much TT training, right? So
not a fan.
So you just ran straight into the cone, and then we had the bars, and you broke your collarbone, right?
Yeah, I broke my right side.
Broke your front. We'll get to that later. Okay. You broke your right side.
Yeah.
And then was it like a complete break, or was it a hairline?
It's like this.
Oh, so it was a complete. It's like a Riyadh break, right? So
Riyadh one was small like this, right?
It was also separated, but it wasn't like.
Mine was like up.
Okay. But you still had to put a titanium plate in the Hayward screen, and then like typical rest and recover, and
so 2 weeks off the bike completely. Then by right 6 weeks, then you can go onto the road.
Yeah.
But I wanted to race the Tour de France last year on the 6th week itself.
Okay. So you don't want to show up untrained, right?
Yeah, I mean it couldn't be like my first ride in the race, right? That's like a bit too much. So I asked my dad, can I please go onto the road on the 4th week? And then he let me go out, but don't tell my doctor.
He's not your doctor. Your dad is a doctor, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yes, okay. But and then so after 4 weeks, you're back on the road training.
Yeah, I started with like easy ride, and then progressively did a few more intervals.
Did you end up doing the Tour de France last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, and how'd it go?
I got like second. Yeah, not too bad, I guess.
But shortly after that, you broke your collarbone again, right?
Yes.
But this time it was the left side.
Yeah.
The left side.
Lucky.
So what happened? What happened? Yeah, luckily that you didn't break the right side again.
Yeah.
And terrible. How did you do that?
So there was this Malaysia series called the Cycling League series.
Okay.
It's a 2-day race with 3 races in the series itself, which means day 1 would be, I think, ITT in the morning, criterium in the afternoon.
Okay.
And then day 2 was road race.
Yep.
So I was doing really well actually for like on the 8th week of my recovery from the right side of the collarbone, right?
So you're feeling quite strong. You felt quite
normal,
right?
Like whoa, I'm doing quite well for my current standard. Then on the road race day, again it was with the boys. It's like a merged category, and Malaysians, they just race differently. Very gangster, very good actually.
Very
aggressive.
Very aggressive, shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah. Like I actually saw a lot of them almost crash, or like if it were in Singapore, they would have crashed. But Malaysians are just very skilled riders. So luckily, nobody crashed in front of me.
Yeah. So then how did you break your collarbone then? Did you...
So it was approaching an intermediate sprint.
Okay.
So everyone's like tensed up, right?
Yeah.
Then I didn't want to go to the left side because in the Malaysian roads, the lane suddenly disappears, right? Like Malaysia, right? Then, so I decided maybe I'll go on the right side.
Yeah.
But...
Was somebody already there?
No, actually, it was clear.
Yeah.
But maybe there's a reason why it was clear.
Okay.
So suddenly there's like a road divider.
Oh, God.
Because like the roads go this way, right? Opposite directions. And then in between, there's just suddenly a piece of concrete in the middle of nowhere. Road
So
pressure.
it wasn't even an island. It was just a strip of
It was like a concrete
like curb.
out of the blue.
Yeah.
And then some, orange poles.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, those bendy stuff. Yeah, so it was like pull. And I was like, oh no, not again.
But then you're in Malaysia, so you had to come back in Singapore with a broken.
So lucky the race was in JB, but when I crashed, it was at Pontian,
Okay.
which is not say very near. So what saved me was the fruit store uncle. He actually gave me a Malaysian flag and like first aid tied my arm up.
Oh, he made you a sling, and he slinged you up.
Really solid uncle.
I know. For a fruit uncle, that.
I still have the flag. I don't know how to return it to him.
Yeah, of course. And then I guess 6 weeks later, you're back on the bike again.
Yeah. So this round I was actually quite demotivated.
Yeah.
Because it's like first round I just want to get back to my bike riding, right? But second round is like again. Like, oh, I have to like restart again, and now it's both sides. So I was quite upset about it.
And this is all happened last year.
Yeah, this was November for the left side, and then the right side was September. So it's about 1 year anniversary. Yeah, 1 year anniversary.
So at least you got matching scars now. Your bowels.
The two lines.
Do you have full range of motion for your arms?
Yeah, it's a lot better now.
Are you going to take out the plates eventually, or are you still deciding?
Still deciding.
Yeah. I hear that if you, the reason that sometimes people take out the plates is because the plate's too strong. And then you might break it at the end of the bone next time because the plate won't break, right? So
which is worse, actually. Yeah.
That's why people take out. But it's another intrusive operation. Unless you got two, you do it both at the same time.
Yeah, I would do it both at the same time. So, okay, the only bright side about breaking the left was that now instead of one shoulder being higher than the other, both are just like down. Even.
Okay, and then so obviously you do a lot of training, right? And you prefer to train outdoors, not indoors. Right? What does that actually mean? How many days a week are you out riding?
Out riding, I'm out. If let's say every day is outdoors, I'm out.
Let's say every day is sunny. No, rain is not a factor, right?
Okay.
Every day is you wake up when it's clear.
I'm out 6 days a week.
6 days a week. Yeah.
But one of the days, my coach gives me double trainings for rides. Okay. So I'm riding 7 times 6 days a week.
So like one day, like let's say Tuesday, you might be out in the morning and the evening.
Yeah, it's actually Tuesday. Yeah, it is Tuesday.
Okay, and then so you ride 7 days a week, but no, you do 7 rides a week in 6 days.
Yeah.
And how many hours is that? That's gonna be like 15?
It's about 15 to 17. Yeah.
Okay. And do you feel that it's the hours that make you better, or is it the specific training that makes you better?
I think it's definitely both. They come hand in hand.
Yeah.
I myself feel that I'm actually doing a lot lower hours than I should be. Okay. But it's mostly because I'm balancing it with my schoolwork, and my coach also understands it. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure that if I were a full-time athlete, I'll be doing a lot more hours. Yeah. But definitely the quality.
15 to 17 is already quite a lot, right?
Yeah, but I think some of the boys are doing 24. It's a bit...
It's like a part-time job.
Yeah, it's like yeah.
At least you have a profession, like you're a nursing student right now, and you will be a nurse, right? You might have flexible hours where you could do quite a lot of training, I think.
I think nursing is very shift work, but because it's shift work, then you can use the rest of the day to do something else if you're not sleeping.
Yeah. And then how do you juggle like that? Right now you're a student. How do you juggle the full-time studies with the 17 hours of riding? Is it all in the morning, or do you do it in the evening as well? Or
preferably would be morning before school, so I get it cleared out.
Yeah.
But some days I oversleep.
Or if it's raining or something.
Yeah,
right?
If it's raining. If it's raining, I'll try to do it indoors on the trainer.
Okay.
And then if let's say I don't manage to do it or anything, then I have to go to school first. And maybe I have gym in the evening.
Yep.
So I have gym on Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
So you do strength training?
Yes, strength and conditioning.
Mobility work. Do you find that helps you a lot with
Oh, definitely. Right? Yeah. So we do a lot of strength work, and it builds the muscles, and it allows me to push a lot harder on the bike as well. But it does give fatigue
Yeah.
because, again, double training, right? But I think towards competitional races, then the workload will decrease a bit.
Yeah.
And then it just translates very well into the cycling that we do.
What sort of rider actually are you? Are you a sprinter or are you sort of all-rounder or haven't worked that out yet?
I am not a sprinter.
Okay.
I think I'm more of an all-rounder rider.
A lot of times the sprinters will do a lot of strength work, build the maximum power to get the sprint, right? So all these races, let's just go through these races, right? 2024 Nat Champs this year. Did you win it from a breakaway or did you win it from a sprint?
Sprint finish, but with the boys. So it's like how well you position before the sprint.
Yeah.
Because it's so massive. The group was like.
So how does that work? You're in with all the guys. You're sprinting. When you cross the line, do you know that you're the winner?
Okay, if you're a guy, I wouldn't know. But like for us girls, so you have to be very aware.
Yeah.
When you're riding.
There's so many people crossing the line at the same time. You cross the line. There's people ahead of you. There's people behind you. But then you got to try to work out were the women ahead of you and we were behind.
Yeah,
right?
so you have to be very aware during the race itself.
Yes.
So before the sprint, you need to know where your competitors are.
Yeah.
So
and if anyone's actually snuck off in a
yeah.
Right?
Like I think it was lucky for the sprint finish that there was no breakaway in front.
Yeah.
That snuck away.
Yeah, because even if the breakaway goes, you need to think about was there a woman in that break or was there not? And if there wasn't one, you just let it go. Right? You don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But if there was one, then now you're gonna work out how the heck you're gonna get to close that gap.
So I think it was good because my style of racing is more of staying closer to the front. So by staying closer to the front, I'm able to watch the moves and everything that goes. Whatever goes, I sort of know who's there and what kind of rider. If I know the rider, I'll know whether this rider can hold this pace or not.
Yeah.
And then make a rough estimate gauge.
Tactically, that's very good, right?
Yeah.
We were talking before, and you were saying that you don't even watch cycling on TV. You don't follow the Tour de France.
Get to expose.
Yeah, right. So how did you get this technical awareness, and is it just from experience of doing races and stuff, or?
I think it's a lot of experience. So from racing, and also, I think since long before when I first started riding, I just tend to be more in front in the races and just always be aware.
Analytical, like quite analytical, or
like
understand what's going on. You're not sitting there just zoning out, right?
Yeah, you can't zone out because for myself, I don't have the sprint, so I always have to either make the moves or watch out for the moves that I can follow. So this makes you very aware of who's riding where, and then which wheels you can and cannot follow.
Yeah.
And racing locally also helped to train that, or like the group bunches, the illegal group rides, right?
Yeah.
So those were like
Before the groups of 10.
They were legal.
They were legal there, right? And it's like used to be for the longhouse or whatever, right? Those are quite fun rides.
So from those rides, you can see the wheel and know, oh, this guy's not good to follow because maybe he's going to crash. Like, you can just tell.
Yep. So when someone breaks away, a lot of times they just let them sit out there and just burn up their old.
Sometimes, yeah. Otherwise, for example, maybe the guy in front of you makes the moves and then you feel that you have enough in your legs to follow. Sometimes it's worth taking the chance because it's a free draft. Yeah, it's like right in front of you going, then you just go.
And it's good practice as well, right? Like in racing, in a real race, there's no rotate unless you're in a very well organized breakaway. There's no pace line. There's no constant speed. It's a whole bunch of surges and people getting dropped and people going off the front. And
so you have to be very aware.
Yeah, and the whole group goes faster and slower and stuff. So you just need to understand how the whole dynamic of it's like a flock of birds almost, right? So everyone's moving as one.
So most of these I pick up from my own experiences and also from the experiences of my seniors. So maybe sometimes they give me tips or like, oh, this guy don't follow, or what you should do in the race is like try this move. And I'm like, oh, okay. Then piece by piece, I put it together. And then I think nowadays I can race relatively a lot better. And I think that for at least road racing, my racecraft is not too bad. Yeah.
Okay. So you do track racing as well, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like the track racing makes you a better road racer, or the road racer makes you a better track racer?
I think that track racing would make you a better road racer.
Just
But,
because of the
like the
way that you ride,
Yeah.
just and not it's not being so surgy. Track racing is not so surgy, I don't think.
track racing can be very surgy. Yeah, it's like a whole different ball game.
Yeah, it is.
But I think that it's easier to translate from track to road rather than from road to track.
Yep.
Because the way that the bikes works and like the moves they have, like for example, if someone comes from the back on the track,
Yep.
by the time you start accelerating, the guy already has few
Yeah.
pedal strokes ahead of you,
Yeah.
and you only
He's going past you, like let's say 5 kilometers an hour faster. By the time he's shoulder to shoulder, or shoulder, you can't make it up instantly, right? So
Yeah.
it's too hard.
because it's single gear, right? Fixed gear.
Yep.
So then you have to be hyper aware on the track, even more aware than on the road. On the road you can like press gear, make heavier go, and then it's just up to your legs. But on the track you have to read the moves even closer. So I think that the track translates better into the road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then do you find that your results on the track are better, or the results on the road?
So far, I think the road results are better. But I think because I did track in 2019, right? And then because of COVID, I had to stop. And then I went back in 2022.
Yeah.
Then because of my collarbones, I stopped also. And then, so I just recently restarted in 2024, July.
Okay, that's quite recent.
Yeah, quite recent.
Yeah. And then do you enjoy the track more or less than the road?
I think that track racing is fun, but the track training can be a bit, I would say, relatively boring
Yeah.
because it's more of like
You're literally going around in circles.
you go in circles, but also the rest in between is like 20 minutes of sitting in the semicircle doing nothing much. Yeah,
Going on the warm-up little area or
something
whatever.
like that.
Yeah, and I guess road riding, it's a great way to explore, right?
Can go see new places.
Even Crunchy, right? Half of Singaporeans haven't even been Boji before.
Only all the cyclists, right?
Exactly.
Who will go to Kranji.
And then so I guess a lot of your focus is on the track.
Currently, yes.
And then so you graduate from studies, I guess towards the end of next year or mid to end of next year.
But right in it.
Are you just going to go full into nursing, or are you going to take some time off and try to race a bit more, or what's your plan?
That's a very good question. I think that the SEA Games is in December, right?
It is.
So SEA Games in December of next year. My graduation will be July.
Oh, perfect. So, and then the qualifying period is like from now
in
until
September.
It's in September of next year.
Yeah, until September.
Oh, until September. It's already opened, right?
Yeah, it's open. It's open.
Yeah. So from now until September, you can do your racing and
Yeah.
qualify. And then September to December is like full. If you're in the team, it's like all in.
Who gets like training and other experiences and all.
So have you been to the SEA Games before?
Yeah, I raced the SEA Games twice already.
Okay.
One in 2022 and one in 2023. The one that's like
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
The COVID.
So I did the criterium and the road race for both.
Okay.
And then I think I got 5th in both the criterium.
Oof. Okay. So leading up, so 6 months before the SEA Games, did you just ramp up your training?
Actually, for example, the gym, I stopped my gym.
Okay.
So because I stopped my gym, then we focus more on the bike.
Yep.
So I guess the bike ramps up, but the gym ramps down.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you like enter lots and lots of local races to try to hone the racecraft, or
Locally, there's not a lot of races.
like Indonesia and Thailand and Malaysia?
I think that, like I said previously, my racecraft is more or less not too bad already.
Okay.
So for myself, I think it's still okay if we don't get to race the races.
Yep.
Because these races are quite hard to come by.
Yeah.
You have to have a neighboring country to host it or something. And even if they host it, maybe you don't have the funding to go for it.
So you're just focusing on fitness and endurance and just building up your base, I guess, getting ready for the race.
Something like
So this time next year, I wouldn't be able to get you on the podcast, but you'll be like heads down training, right?
something like that.
That's okay. And then I hear that you also are running a sort of a side quest where it's like sort of like you're getting the youths into track racing as well, right?
Yeah,
Tell us a little bit about that, how that came about.
so that started this September, which is quite recent.
Yeah.
And it was like we found that there's a huge fixie community in Singapore, but they don't have. They have the Will to Dream, which is the Jurong West Stadium, where they can practice their trainings and all that once a week with the Cycling Federation.
Yeah.
But some of the kids wanted to go out to the velodrome.
Yeah.
And I think the Will to Dream brought them there once last year in December.
Okay.
But they were like asking for more. And then it felt like more could be done for them as well. So my friend and I, we started this thing called Project XST,
Okay.
which stands for Access Track, because there's no velodrome in Singapore.
Yeah.
So the closest would be at Iskandar Putri, which is Legoland area of JB. And it's a indoor velodrome, 250 meters. Sort of indoor. Yeah, there's like a hole for rain to come in. Yeah.
So you guys just jump on a bus or something and cross the border together, or you stay overnight there? Well, so what's the deal?
So we we'll gather the interest rates, right?
Yeah.
Then maybe for the session, if let's say 6 or 8 of the boys want to travel to GB but don't have a form of transport, maybe their parents are busy or just don't feel comfortable taking public transport, then
And a track bike, it's not like you can just ride over there with a track bike.
some of them ride there.
Wow.
Okay, quite dangerous,
Because
but
you can't go over Tuas, so you got to go over Woodlands. And from Woodlands, you got to go all the way through Iskandar back to...
so I think one time some of them maybe took public transport to Woodlands, then rode across the Woodlands Causeway, and then took a Grab to Tuas, which is like a bit troublesome, but that's one way to go about it. Then otherwise, they can chip in some money, and then we'll try and find a vehicle for them to go across the Causeway.
And so you just go over there and then you just do like ride the track and just practice and give them coaching or something?
Yeah, so for example, it's your first time on the velodrome, we'll give you a familiarization route kind of thing. It's like an intro to the track, and then what's this, what can you do here, and then make sure that you're safe to ride.
Yeah.
After you go through like a few checks, then you're free to join the rest in their trainings. So those that come for the second session onwards, they can do intervals if they want. And like my friend Elias will prescribe the intervals. For example, we have like a group of boys that actually followed us to Nirai, which is next to KL. And then we did the YSD track series that Malaysia hosts.
Okay.
So
it's a legit competition.
Yeah, it's a legit competition. Yeah. So they just jumped right into it. They were super enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And then this was maybe their third, fourth time on the velodrome. And then they're like out racing already.
Yeah, that's really cool. Velodrome racing is really fun.
Yeah.
And then so do you find that this is picking up now, this this program?
I think it's picking up, yeah. So it's grown quite a bit, but I think maybe some of the dates that we pick clash with the local races as well. So maybe in the December when it's school holidays and everything, then maybe there'll be more people that join.
Okay, and is it like younger sort of kids that are...
It's actually open to everybody. So whoever's interested in cycling on the velodrome, whether you're like 50 or younger, like say 16. So the youngest we had is 13.
Okay.
His parents actually brings him there to ride.
Yeah.
And then we'll just have the same program or like alter it here and there for cater to different levels of riding. And I think the community is very nice.
Yeah, I think it's great because let's say these kids could be riding on the street, right?
Yeah.
And then you're getting them off the street and not so dangerous. You're getting them focused on a event. Then they've got something to look forward to. They're training for a specific event.
I think some of them still enjoy the street riding.
Of course.
Yeah, there's like the thrill of it, right? The night riding and everything. But riding on the velodrome is also an experience for them, which is something that we want to grow in Singapore because there's no velodrome. So track cycling kind of died, right? Yeah. Then the last SEA Games with a track cycling competition was 2017.
Which is the one that we got.
The gold medal by Calvin
Kelvin
Finn.
Singh, right? He got the gold medal.
So now it's already 7 years since then.
And I guess this coming one is going to have track.
Yeah, this upcoming one's
right?
having. Yeah. So that's a whole 8-year gap.
Wow. So let's just say you qualify for the SEA Games, hypothetically, for the next year. Are you going to try to go for the track and the road events?
That one's up to the federation.
Yeah, but if you could,
If I could, I would.
as long as there's enough gap between the events, it makes sense. You would totally do it.
I would love to do both.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's up to the federation on which one they want to send.
Of course. Okay, so what next for you? Are you just focusing on studies and then after that, SEA Games or qualify for the SEA Games?
So I have exams coming up. Yeah, so like it's the end finishing round of my studies.
So I think by the time this comes out, it's going to be like in 3 weeks. You'll probably be right in the middle of your exams.
Yeah, either that or like just finish.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
And then between that and Christmas, you just just ride and like training ride.
Actually, the Cycling Federation managed to attach me and another girl to the South Australian Sports Institute.
Oh, cool.
So we'll be heading there for about a month of training camp together with the Australians.
Yeah.
And then
in Adelaide.
Yeah, Adelaide.
And then will you be there for Tour Down Under? Because that's at the end of January. That's like, it's always an Australia Day, which is the 26th of January.
Oh.
And that's, and then there's always a uni SA team in the Tour de France as well. Obviously not the women, but the men have a team from that institute as well.
So we're going to be there until early January.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be like a sort of track and road training camp.
That'd be cool.
It is, yeah.
I think you're going to underestimate the weather at that time. Like, in December, it's hot. It's hot here. It's 32 degrees hot.
But it's humid here.
It's humid here, right? But then
Dry.
it could be like 40 degrees.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's so just be ready for that. But I think that'll be awesome.
So I think like within that training camp itself, we'll also be participating in some other races like the Track Nationals, if I'm not wrong. That's held at Melbourne.
Oh, cool.
And then also the Tasmanian Carnival, which is Christmas spirit.
No, that's
Yeah.
really awesome because like here we have the Nationals and we have the Beach 100 or whatever race, right? There's no other races for that. The other travel, you're going to travel out of Singapore to do it. Over there could be a different race every weekend.
Every weekend.
Or Tuesday night crits or whatever. You can do them if you really wanted to.
Really good racing over there.
Just try to soak up as many races as you can. It'll be...
Back in 2022, actually, we went for an Australian training camp as well. Me, Riyadh, Afan, some other boys and girls.
Yeah.
So then we had a race at least once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, if not twice or more. Yeah.
I remember when I used to live in the US, you could go do a race on a Saturday and a race on a Sunday, or you could do a crit. Let's just say you can do the open crit in the morning, and then
Evening and another.
or no, in like later on in the morning, there could be like the Masters crit, for example. For me, I was over 30, so I could do a different age group,
Nice.
say on the same morning, right? So it was so many different opportunities, and then you're thrown in the race again, another race, just to practice the craft and just to get tactics and understand how everything goes, right?
Actually, speaking about Australia racing, back in when we were there in 2022, the boys and girls also raced together.
Okay.
But I think the difference between that and the Singapore local racing was that it was more based on, like we were segregated based on your performance rather than age groups.
Okay.
So-
I have A, B, and C. Right?
Yeah, ABC grade. So then because you're more or less roughly the same, it doesn't really matter whether you're boy or girl because you can still do the moves that you want to move, and then it's like good racing.
And the problem with the Singapore mixing is that there's only one race a year. So everyone goes to it, right? Whereas, let's say in Adelaide, if you miss out this week's race, you just go to next week's. It's not a big deal, but you don't. Everyone doesn't have to go to that same race, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So it looks like you got your next year pretty mapped out, right? You're gonna be a busy girl.
Busy with school, busy with cycling.
Yeah. So my last question is always, how do people get a hold of you? It's ebird2002
Yeah.
on Instagram.
On Instagram.
Instagram is the best way to get a hold of you.
Yeah, more or less. Chronically online. Brain rot.
Thank you so much for coming in, and I really hope the best for you this coming year.
Thank
and
you.
follow you closely, okay?